Yo, guess what, people? I'm back. It's been a crazy couple weeks. Well, trying to work on taxes and stuff. But I'm back. Guess what I learned today? There's a pause. Yeah. So, couple updates for you guys, and but check this out. Here I am. This is what we call the mucho CFer. So, as other CF people know, we need to eat, and eat is a huge plate. The plate barely fits in my microwave. But huge plate of chicken casserole that my mom made. Shout out to my mom. She take care of me. Likes to come out and make meals and help me around the house a little bit. As of more late. Plus added cheese and other things. And then always for even more calories, drink to go with it. So I'm gonna eat and then I'm gonna pause. Well, I'm gonna pause and then I'm gonna eat. And I'm going to come back and give you guys all the updates of what's been going on lately. So, and talk about a few things. We'll see. Yummy. So, nothing like having the metabolism of a hummingbird. So, updates, recent updates. Well, let's see. It's been a couple weeks now already. I ended up going in, did IVs for a week in the hospital. Came home, finished IVs for a week at home. So nothing like some good Zosyn and tobramycin. So then went back in for the checkup, and because I had a tunnel pick put in again in my chest up here. Bummer thing. I totally had the other one removed like 3 weeks prior because I wasn't using it. Not knowing that, in case you guys need to know, other CF people, did you know if you have a tunnel pick in your chest, they can actually convert it to a port and use the same line, the same tunnel? Yeah, wish I would have known that the first time. So they had to poke me, cut me again, and do it again. But on my checkup, I had it switched to a port. So everybody's talking big about the ports and how nice they are. So they did my port. It was kind of fun. I had fun with the nurses and all that. I usually do when I'm in the room. I just did local this time. I was like, no, don't put me under. That's kind of dangerous, as we've learned in the past. But they did local numbing, and I gritted my way through it. But here it is. So we're going to do a little exposure here. So there is my port. Now look at that thing. That thing is like a knob, like huge. Like, that's like a Dr. Sandra Lee pimple popper, but you can't really pop that one. It's made out of plastic. So, you can see the cut line where they cut across the tape here, and then you can see kind of actually, if I lean like this, you can see where the line actually goes up over my collarbone right there, and then it goes into my vein right here on my neck. But usually when they do this, for people that don't know, they cut in the neck, and then they stick a wire down into the vein, and then they cut down here, and then maybe this is grossing some people out. So they cut down here, and then they fish that little wire right up underneath this, underneath the skin, right underneath the skin layer, and then they poke it out the hole. Then they loop it, and then run it down into the vein, and then they shrink the loop. They actually pull it in, pull it through, so that it gets underneath the skin. And then they stitch this back shut. But they got to make this cut so they can make that loop, make that bend. So, yeah. And then for the port, they just make a long cut, and they get underneath the skin, and they kind of work a little pocket so they can put this big old bubble in there. So, the nice thing is when it's all done, I won't have to get poked. Well, I get poked in the port, but no more IVs or cuts or slits or anything like that. And I can do treatment right through the port. I can shower without having to put a bag on my chest all the time or on my arm. Everybody says they're pretty cool. So, but because I don't have any fat on my body, that thing looks ridiculous. So, and it really stands out because there's nothing to conceal it. So anyway, now that I gave you a little lesson on medical devices and how they go in, yeah, things have been okay. Updates on Pittsburgh. looks like at the end of the month, we're looking at heading down there and maybe even for the good to stay and get on that waiting list for some lungs. So we'll be doing videos from Pittsburgh pretty soon, within a month or so. Yeah, so I thought about it, and it's been challenging trying to think I got to wrap stuff up here to get ready to move. But got great support around here, people helping out like I did. A shout out to my mom. So she comes out and she'll help clean around the house a little bit and make a meal or two and freeze it, and so that I got stuff during the week and that sort of thing. So that's pretty cool. And other friends through church and everything have been just wonderful helping out around here. So shout out to all of them. So yeah, I don't know what else to talk about. Give me just a second here. So thinking about it, there's one question I get a lot, and maybe it's a question even some of the CF people have question about, or of course they get questioned on, is people ask, how do you do it? And I'm like, well, how do you do what? They're like, how do you deal with it? How can you be happy with what you got and what you got to do? And I'm like, I don't know how we deal with it. I think a lot of people can agree with me. It's all I know. I didn't deal with it well, for a long time. I think I went through a stage of denial, I didn't want to deal with it, I guess. I wanted to ignore it, basically. Because it's hard to be seen as weak, when I say that stage, I mean like high school, and shortly after and stuff like that. Like, it's hard to be looked at as sick, and it's hard on the emotional side of things. And I don't know how I really dealt with it. I went through a lot of stuff back then, where I reclused myself from the whole world for a while. From any communication or relationship or whatever, but because of some things that happened in my life, and it caused me to just not want to be involved with the human race. So, which is amazing that I am where I am now. I think how I deal with it, I don't even know from day to day. God is so gracious, because what I've had to deal with the last 6 years since I really started taking a dive into the loss of lung function has been a journey. It's been a journey of my faith and my trust, I think. I'll jump into my testimony a little bit here. I was born and raised in the church. My parents took me to church. I was baptized when I was like 9 in a horse trough in a pastor's basement, I think. I remember that. But right around 12, 13, 14 years old, my dad was taken away. He actually had made some poor choices in his life, and he got sent off to prison for a couple of years. I was 14. And, my parents my mom, she took me to the hospital religiously. Every 3 months for checkups, they pounded on me, my parents, did all the chest PT and pulmonary functions and all that. And, she always took me. I milked the disease a little bit back then. I didn't like school. Part of it was because I didn't like people. With my dad being taken away like that, it was challenging. We had a lot of division in our family, in both of my parents' families over it all. There was a lot of division and a lot of pain there. And I just reclused. I decided I don't like people. I don't like human beings. And I don't want friends, and I don't want to deal with it. So I went through the tail end of middle school and beginning of high school and all of high school. And I wouldn't build any deep relationships with anybody. There was really no depth because I was protecting myself, I thought, And so I didn't even want to be there. I milked being sick. I'm like, oh, Mom, I'm sick. My stomach hurts. I don't want to go to school. You know, I barely, by this hair of my chin, graduated high school. And I only did because I had to take a summer class the year of graduation in pottery to gain 1/4 credit to get my full credits. Yeah, that's how lazy I was, skipping out a lot and using CF as an excuse. Not the best thing to do, but I also walked away from anything I knew of a relationship with God because I was just mad at everybody, God included. So I just started doing what I wanted to do, in high school, especially the tail end of high school, the second half. And got involved, with relationships and things like that, very surface, because I didn't want to let my heart open to anybody. But, and yeah, got myself in some good trouble there. I got to the point where I was looking at going to prison myself, possibly. And that's where I reluctantly gave God some of the control. I was 19, out of high school, was being threatened with prison and prosecution for some choices I had made. And I realized my choices to run my own life really didn't work so good. And I did a pretty bang up job. And my dad was getting out of prison. So, and I was going to go take his place, is how I saw it. I was like, wow, good job, Jake, So my best friend, still to this day, was able to share with me his experience, which was similar. And I gave it back to God. I'm like, God, I really messed it up. I totally messed it up. And I'll let you give a try on running the show here because I didn't do so good. I did it very reluctantly. I'm like, we'll see what you can do. I know what's inside here. And I know what's inside here. Okay, I'm pointing to the wrong side. And it ain't pretty. I don't see the world right. I don't see people right. And I don't know how to fix that. I think a lot of us can probably agree to that one. Sometimes we don't know how to fix our heart because it's so deep. The pain is so deep. The hurt. And that's where God's mercy is amazing. Because a walk with God is a process. We start in that place. We start in the place where we don't even know what to do. And the first step of faith is just a mustard seed. It's just saying, okay, I'm going to try to trust you, God. And give him a little bit. As much as you can. Sometimes it's not much. But I gave him a little bit. Gave him one rein. I kept the other one. I was still trying to run the horse show. 9 months later, I realized that he had done a work in my heart. He had done a work in my mind to help me not think the way I used to think about people. And yeah, and about girls, the way I saw relationships even. So he had done that work, and that's when I just gave it all to him. I says, okay, you got it, your show. Help me, keep helping me. So I recommitted my life to the Lord when I was 19. By 20, I had volunteered to work at a Bible camp. When I started working at the Bible camp for that summer, I decided to volunteer as he was leading to go to the Bible college that fall and commit another year to the program. So I went through a year of Bible college and got engaged to a gal that I was in school with and went to Africa for 3 months, and the engagement sadly broke off. Timing wasn't right. So, but it taught me a lot, and it hurt a lot, obviously, but it taught me a lot. And, you know, up until that point, my health really wasn't a challenge. I could do anything I wanted. I remember one day somebody said, I'm training for a marathon. You want to run with me? I'm like, sure. So I ran like 3 miles with her. And I'm like, huh, haven't done that in a long time. So I held the same lung function probably all through my whole 20s. And I was 29 when I got pneumonia and landed myself in the hospital for the first time in many, many years. I had some bouts in high school and shortly out of high school there where I had some digestive issues, but I never had lung issues. I was at 60% at age 19, 60% lung function, but I could function in life and didn't really have any limitations that I felt. At 29, that pneumonia dropped me down to 30%. It was the first time I'd ever been winded in my life. Oh man, dinner's coming. Burping a little bit. Anyway, so that was a whole new challenge. I'd never experienced something like that. I couldn't breathe. And I couldn't even walk 5 feet. Never experienced it. It was scary. And that's when CF really decided to just show up out of the blue. I had ignored it to an extent. I did natural medicine a lot for those years in my 20s, and it's kept me really healthy. I have worked a lot of stupid jobs that should not have let me be healthy. Yeah, note to CF people. Don't be a welder or a concrete cutter or raise pigeons or chickens or, yeah, to list a few. Or flip houses, really dirty, dusty, insulation. Yeah. Because I was living a life that I just wanted to deny that, CF existed, and I didn't want to be limited by it. I didn't want people to look at me differently. It's hard enough when you cough, as a lot of people understand. You're in public and they're like, "You're gonna make it?" Oh, there's a good one. Or "Don't die on me." Or "You okay, Chief?" So those are some of my favorite quotes from people in public. But how do I deal with it? This last 6 years has been hard. It's been hard emotionally, mentally, watching myself lose physical capacities to do things. But it's been just a journey. The Lord has given me more grace and more grace as time goes on. And that's why I say, I don't know how. If I had to do it on my own, if I had to say that I was able to do it, I don't think I could. It's God's grace that I've slowly gained a little bit more and a little bit more strength in my faith and my belief. Faith is a constant growing process. God asks us to do things out of faith. And when we make that leap, it gives us a little bit more strength for the next leap. It gives us a little bit more confidence, a little bit more belief for the next thing. So maybe some people look at this God thing and, believing in God is such a big endeavor. Well, it's not. It's a journey. You start and say, I don't know how to do this, but I'll start here. And God promises in his scripture that if you seek him, you find him. And that means if we're willing to seek and take those small leaps, he will meet us at those places. And he'll give us just a little bit more strength to take the next leap of belief, of faith, of trust. Trust is huge. I have to be able to trust him, which is really, really hard. But I can do it a little bit more and a little bit more every day because he proves himself through the past. So how do I do it? I don't know. But my trust in the Lord is that much bigger now than it was a year ago, 5 years ago, 15 years ago. Just a little bit more. So, yeah. How do I do it? I don't know. I don't know how not to, but I also know that God is sovereign and he loves us so much. One of the things more recently that's really I've been trying to settle in my mind and lock in is the fact that if you've accepted Christ, you're one of God's children. And that means that God is in control. Anything that comes into your life passes by his eyes first and passes through his hands before it comes to you. He's allowing it. But he's allowing it through the hands of love. That's from the VARs at church. Thank you guys so much. Because I got that from a conversation there. And it was so huge to me because everything flows through the hand of love before it comes to us, if we're his. And it's helped me deal a little bit more with the hospitalizations. That is part of his plan, that he has a big plan in it. Because me personally, I hate going in. I hate being there. I don't like the place. I don't like the vibe it gives. I don't like the dry air. I don't like the food. I don't like, we could go on. All of us could go on that one. But I know that he's got it for me for a reason, even when I am sick. And then I just have to seek him to find out, what do you want me to do? What's the plan here and what can I do to be a part of it? So, because he's got a great and wonderful plan and we're just blessed enough to be able to be a part of it if we're in tune. So, I don't know. Hopefully that helps. Put some questions in there. Maybe some Facebook questions. I haven't seen too many chit-chats on the line, but I'll try to answer what I can. So, love you guys, and I'll try to get a little more consistent with this thing. All right? Later.